Good afternoon, everybody. This is fantastic. Look at this huge community we have. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. This is our fall 2024 Academic Assembly. Let's give everybody a moment to get seated. Welcome. Welcome to our Fall 2024 Academic Assembly. My name is Elisa Kawam, and I have the great honor of serving as your Senate President this year and your MC for the first half of this event. Our academic assemblies are times for us to come together in community, connect with old colleagues, perhaps find some new ones, and hear from our executive leadership. This is the equivalent of the State of the State address. This is the state of our university. So you showing up and being part of this in our community is fantastic. I cannot thank you enough. Soon, I will introduce President Crow and later Provost Gonzalez. But before I do, because I will be brief because we have a very packed agenda, I have an assignment for all of you because that's what we do here. So my assignment for you is I want you to make one, if not two, new friends while you're here. I think we can all do that. There's drinks and food. So this is a time to come together because really, community and connection are the bedrock of everything that we do. We cannot have a university like this if we don't come together and we have a sense of community and connection. So you have that assignment and I will find out. I'm a social worker. We have people everywhere. It's true. So these connections are critically important, and I want us to have fun. So if you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, humor me, meet someone new, find a new friend, and have fun. This is our time to come together, and hopefully the first of many fun, enjoyable times this year. So thank you. It is my great honor to introduce our president, President Crow. I also neglected to introduce that we have other campuses. We have downtown campus, waving. I got so excited for you, President Crow. Polytechnic, waving. Yay. And West Valley.
Hello. This is the West Valley.
Thank you, colleagues. And now, President Crow, please.
Well, I'm definitively not going to give a State of the University address or anything quite like that. What I hope to do is to spend just a few minutes in the context of this assembly reminding all of us that are listening why we're here. And long ago, eons ago, when I was in graduate school and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with my energy and what I wanted to do with some of my ideas, I remember being profoundly influenced by kind of a strange academic book in an organizational theory class that I took. And the book was written by a guy named Katz and a guy named Kahn, K-A-H-N. It was called The Social Psychology of Organizations. Several copies of this book, and I have it on each of the 3 desks that I work at in the 3 different places that I hang out at where I'm doing my work. And I don't read it very often because I probably have memorized it and synthesized it and then altered it to my own belief of fact patterns. But it basically, you could derive from it what's the purpose of a university in a social, psychological context. And in the broader context, without belaboring the book or walking you through all of the rhetoric or jargon or technical terms, that we are an adaptation organization. The purpose of our organization, the purpose of our institution is to produce adaptive outcomes, to produce adaptive people, to produce ideas that lead to enhanced adaptation, deeper understanding of the theories of social work, which are, believe it or not that old from an academic theoretical perspective, only going back 140 years or so. As we evolve our understanding of the theories of social work and human development and community development and how to deal with broken families and how to deal with all of the things that we experience in our social fabric, as we, the university, develop new social workers, new social work theory, new social theories, new social models, new assumptions. We are enhancing our ability to adapt to the social fabric that we have constructed in our Global Futures Laboratory. We are expanding our understanding of our relationship with the built environment, between the built environment and the natural environment, which is then allowing us to adapt in fundamental physics or cosmology or other areas. We're understanding the fundamental nature of light and matter and energy and time and all the gravity, all of the fundamental forces that affect us physically, and our ability to adapt and to be adaptive, which is a fundamental thing in evolution, fundamental to our species' success, fundamental to the way that nature works is our own conscious adaptation, which is a derivative of our intelligence. That's the role of the institution. So what are we doing in all of that? We have decided to take a somewhat broader conceptualization of our adaptive role. So rather than offering 70, 80, or 90 undergraduate majors, we offer hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of undergraduate majors. Rather than have just a few graduate programs, we have many graduate programs. Rather than have one way for students to gain access to the faculty brilliance and the faculty environment and the learning environment and the adaptive environment by everyone being required to come to the university, to leave their families, to live on the university campus, and to immerse themselves in what we do, which many of our students do, but many, many, many people, in fact, most people cannot. How do we find a way where we can take the faculty that we have assembled, bring those faculty together, empower them in the fully immersive environment, what we call Realm 1, full immersion on-campus technology-enhanced learning, where we can create this environment for these students to be more adaptive, to be successful learners, to be master learners, and at the same time, find a way where those that can't find a way to be with us, can't afford to be fully immersed with us, started somewhere else and weren't able to finish, and then found us where they could finish and where they can move their life forward. That's what we do. That's what we've designed to do. And so I have this thing where my relatives, other people that I know, people that I see, they say, well, aren't you worried about the future? Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, they'll tell me, or whatever. Any phrase they're coming up, I said, no, I'm not worried. I got little worries. I have worries about, people playing by the rules and all kinds of things like that, but I don't have any worries about where we are in time and space. And let me give you the reason for that. I spend a lot of time, as does Provost Gonzalez, talking to students, meeting with students, talking to student leaders, meeting with undergraduate students, graduate students, engage with all of them. And let me tell you unequivocally, their level of hope and aspiration for the future is off the charts. In fact, we're even noticing that this fall, it's even beyond anything that we've ever seen in the past. I asked the police chief today how we were doing on what's called MIP. Anybody know what MIP is? Minors in possession. Better than we've ever done. Wow. How are we doing in mental health issues? For the first couple weeks of the university's immersion sessions, we experienced immense mental health stresses. Very good, the staff says. Amazingly good. I was talking to some of them today. How are we doing in terms of the aspirations of our students and the students that are here? Unbelievable. More double majors, more triple majors, more people wanting to learn more, wanting to do more, wanting to be adaptive, wanting more from us. Nancy and I, Provost Gonzalez and I, had the opportunity to be with more than 15,000 gold-shirted freshmen, first-year students in one place just a few days ago. I didn't see a lot of worries about the future in that space. What I saw was unbelievable energy and unrequited desire to learn. I'm not kidding you. And so here you are as a part of this institution, and what are we focused on? We're focused on adaptation, which really means what are we focused on? We're focused on the future. We teach the past so that we can make better decisions in the future. We teach English at the level of intensity that we teach English, so that we can understand how the culture that produced the English language and all of English literature evolved, and what it means, and how we communicate, and what we are as humans, so that we can be better humans and more adaptive going forward. The government of the United States and the Congress of the United States and the President of the United States decided, hey, we need to do a couple of things relative to the future. We need to take one area of technology and add it to the two other areas of technology that we decided we had to control and master for the American culture to be successful. The first was food, and the decisions that were made in the mid-19th century, the land-grant universities, the Department of Agriculture, the continuous innovation in agriculture. There haven't been any famines in the United States. There hasn't been any shortage of food supplies in the United States, and in spite of the local recent price increases for food, food is generally available and acceptable across the entire population. So we had food security. Nuclear power, nuclear security, understanding nuclear things in the 1940s, beginning in the 1940s, hasn't always gone the way that we wanted it to go, but then recently they decided we have to control digital futures. We have to control semiconductor futures. And so they called upon the nation to rise up through the CHIPS and Science Act and help protect the future of the United States by ensuring that we had access to this technology as we needed it going forward. And ASU faculty members, ASU students, ASU staff are unbelievably involved in that part, in what was called the Infrastructure Act, which most people don't pay attention to very much because there's one side is arguing for it and the other side's arguing against it, and there's a lot of false rhetoric that's out there. It turns out if you read the act, we actually said, well, what does it say? So about half the act is to build and maintain the infrastructure of the past, the highways, the roads, the airports, the harbors, maintain that stuff, get all that going. And half of the act was designed to build the infrastructure for the economy of the future. Again, adaptation. We have a little bit to do with the first through some of our technologies. We have a lot to do with the second. So ASU faculty and staff and students were engaged in competing to be one of the carbon hubs, one of the places in the United States where the future of a carbon capture technology could be developed and industry could be built around it. Can you take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, sequester it from the atmosphere, and turn it into an economically viable product on which you can build an economic future where you're extracting a negative elemental component of the atmosphere to build a positive economic outcome for ourselves while solving two problems at the same time? So 6 projects were funded. Bet in the future. Can we get the carbon out of the atmosphere, and can we build a positive way to do it, and can we pay for it? We won one of those projects. We won one of those projects, absolutely. With dozens and dozens and dozens of teams. And what is that? That's adaptation. So the National Science Foundation decided to go in a different direction than only their historical investment. It's the largest fundamental science funding organization that humans have ever created. Billions and billions and billions of dollars and thousands, tens of thousands of projects. And they decided they were going to start 10 new engines projects. Could you do fundamental academic research, social sciences, behavioral sciences, engineering sciences, natural sciences, physical sciences, mathematical sciences? Could you bring all of that together, all of them, and could you begin to lay the foundation for a future economy built around discoveries in certain areas? 10 of these were awarded. We won one of them, and the one that we won is for the future of the sustainability economy in the United States. I mean, these are unbelievable things. So our faculty, our staff, our students, the way the institution is working, the way we're organized, the way we're projecting, the way that we're doing things are all focused on this ability to enhance our adaptability. We made a big decision relative to the advancement of our new general education curriculum, and thank you to the academic senators and the university senators that were a part of that process. We're going to make sure that every student that graduates from this institution understands what sustainability is. We're going to make sure that they understand what American institutions are relative to the advancement of our democracy and our democratic republic. All those things have now been worked in, and so where we are in all of this, highest enrollment that we've ever had, over 80,000 students fully immersed with us on campus, more than 100,000 degree-seeking students on campus, largest number of Arizonans that we've ever had attending the university, including 9,000 Arizonans in the first-year class for on-campus full immersion. All this stuff that you read about, that people don't want to go to college, that's bunk. They don't want to go to colleges that aren't any good. They don't want to go to colleges that their degrees are not valuable once they graduate. They want to go to colleges and universities that are good or great, and we're great, and they want to be here. We had over 80,000 applicants to our first-year class. 80,000 applicants to our first-year class. We have over 40,000 students here this semester who were not here last semester, both online and on campus. And so when you hear people talking about the collapse of the universities and nobody wants to go to the universities, you pick up the Wall Street Journal, and I'm not really sure what planet they live on. And so I don't know what they're looking at. What we have is a problem with delivery in the country. We have a problem with graduating students. We have a problem with being successful at what we're doing. Now, this institution is increasingly successful. So it's about us being adaptive, laying down adaptive ideas for the future, laying down unbelievable pathways for our students to be successful. Now, here's what we've done. And I got a little choked up about this the other day when I was on this panel. I'm like, you're not going to really bawl in front of these people, are you? And I was thinking about one of my sisters when I was telling this story, who never had a chance to go to college. She's worked in the same job for approaching 50 years, and the exact same job for approaching 50 years. And she is one smart cookie. She is a smart and gifted human being. But she had no way to go to college. No way to go to college. So the other day, a couple of us were in Governor Newsom's office in the Capitol in California, also known as Sacramento. So we come out of the Capitol, had a very good meeting with the governor. We were trying to work on some issues that we've got relative to California. And we go downstairs. It's one of those really hot days in Sacramento, and the people that I'm with saying, the next meeting's about a mile away, we should take an Uber. And I'm like, no, I don't want to take an Uber. We're going to walk there. And they say, you're an old man. We need to take an Uber. I say, no, I'll walk you. Anyway, we take an Uber. So this Uber taxi shows up, and there's a woman in there named Jen. And so Jen is the driver of this Uber, and it's an Uber taxi, so it's kind of a small car. So we get in this car, and we're going to go to this restaurant. And so she hears us talking about ASU. Oh, are you guys with ASU? Yeah. Well, I'm going to go to ASU. I started working for Uber 2 years ago to earn enough points by being a master driver of Uber, using every ounce of energy that I have to be able to find a way to go to your university because I don't have any money. And she said, on top of that, I have dreamt about being a neuroscientist my entire life. You have an online degree in neuroscience, and I asked Nancy about it. It's out of her home department, psychology. So we have a world-class psychology department filled with world-class scholars doing fantastic things. It's historically one of the best departments at the university and has been for decades and decades and decades. And this woman, Jen, I always dreamt of being a neuroscientist, and now I'm going to be able to be one. So I listened to her, and then I gave her my card, and I said, send me a note. So she sends me a note, and we start going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so I'm just telling you, back to what we do. So apparently, a world-class psychology faculty at Arizona State University is not so stuck up that they think that doing online education is the dirty work of the devil, and that it will lead to the demise of the university and all of its quality, because how can the university be good if it's large and unbelievably accessible? It can't be any good. Well, actually, I think the university being good is a function of what we're doing. It's a different definition of goodness. And so our world-class psychology faculty, which are doing unbelievable research and have unbelievable students here, and doctoral students and clinical psychology degrees and all the other things that we do here, are also helping old Jen over there, driving her Uber around now that she can graduate at no cost because of her work, because she found Arizona State University. So do not be discouraged about what's going on around us. Stay focused on what we're doing and help our society to be more adaptive. So thank you. I usually take questions now.
Yeah. We're playing the shuffle. Thank you, President Crow. That was fantastic.
So questions?
So first, we're actually going to start with downtown.
Okay.
Downtown, President Rounds, do you have a question for President Crow?
They might be talking, but we can't hear them.
I can't hear you. Can you hear us downtown?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, we can hear you. You are live.
That's okay because I got an introduction to the audience when we were on mute. So President Crow, can you provide an update on the progress of the new medical school in the downtown campus, the location, and the broader ASU Health Initiative, including the development of the School for Public Health Technology, the Health Observatory, and the workforce training that you've been speaking of?
Yes, so when I first took office more than 20 years ago, I was asked by the regents whether or not I was interested in building a medical school for ASU, and I said no, not until we first have built a world-class university. So we now have built a world-class university which has the capacity to build a world-class medical school, but different than other medical schools that are often separate structures and then brought on or tagged on or acquired or attached to a university. So we gained license from the Arizona Board of Regents to build whatever we thought would be helpful in taking on Arizona's poor performance in health outcomes at the social scale or the community scale. So we organized a thing called ASU Health. We hired the president of Rush Medical University in Chicago, Shireen Gabriel, who had previously been the dean of the Rutgers Medical School, and previous to that, the dean of the Mayo Medical School, a member of the National Academy of Medicine and a distinguished scientist and physician on her own right. And we brought her, and she's assembled a team to work with our faculty and to work with the academic enterprise leadership, the knowledge enterprise leadership, and the learning enterprise leadership to design a number of initiatives that will allow us to have more impact on the health outcomes for Arizonans. And one of those initiatives, as you mentioned in your question, is a medical school that will be built around the theme of medicine and advanced medical engineering. So the School of Medicine and Advanced Medical Engineering. So we're building a unique curriculum to draw from our existing faculty. Probably 80% of the medical school faculty are already here, already a part of the institution. And then many, many more faculty may want to be affiliated with this new medical school, and you don't have to be an engineer to be affiliated with a medical engineering medical school. It's just one of the pedagogies that we're going to be using. And so we're thick in the process of advancing that. It takes about 3 years to get accredited. Our proposal, an 800-page proposal, was submitted last month to LCME, the accrediting authority. They will start showing up at some point. We will start finding a way to link up with the faculty. Some of you have already been linked up with, who will be a part of the medical school. Then we'll determine what faculty we don't have. Then we'll hire those faculty, and then along the way somewhere we're going to get a dean and bring her or him here, and we will bring them in and get this thing going. Details yet to be worked out. A second project of ASU Health is a school that we're now calling the School of Technology and Public Health. Not public health technology, meaning it has a very intensive technology component to it. Wearable devices, social scale tools, assessment tools, wastewater assessment tools for viral assessment, all kinds of things. And so that leader for that school, again, will ultimately be brought here, but most of the faculty for that school are already here. Some faculty have been involved in the design of that school along the way. A third element, I'm not going to go through all 8 elements, is the Arizona Health Observatory. We just hired an outstanding faculty member to help us to drive that institutional design forward. And the purpose of that is, what did we learn during COVID about all the complexities of COVID? Well, we didn't know how to communicate well enough. We didn't have enough data. We weren't assessing things in the right way. We didn't have this, we didn't have that. And so an Arizona Health Observatory focused on overall health and well-being outcomes is a third project that we have. All of those are underway. They're all underway at the same time. When we have enough to say in detail, we'll have Shireen Gabriel, our EVP, and Nancy Gonzalez, our EVP and Provost, and others do a detailed briefing on where we are and where we're going and how we're moving forward with all these things. All of them will be built from the 6,000 faculty members that we already have. All of them will draw from the expertise that we already have. And our goal in all of these schools is to produce a different kind of doctor, a different kind of public health person, a different kind of set of outcomes. And so that's what we're really focused on, and that's really how we're advancing that. What I will say is that we have quite a challenge. We have to find a clinical partner. You can't have a medical school without a clinical partner. The clinical partner has to be willing to invest heavily in the project. The clinical partner has to be willing to work with us because we're not going to have an exclusive relationship. Not that we're polyamorous, we're not, but we're poly. We work with lots of people, lots of groups, lots of institutions, lots of activities. And so we've made a lot of progress on that. We think we have a deal put together. And so we'll be announcing that in the not too distant future, and then that will be our clinical partnership. That doesn't mean that we're not changing whatever we're doing with anyone else that you might think of. It just means we're going to be doing more and being connected to more. And then we have another challenge. So we're building a public university medical school in a state that doesn't invest in medical professional development. So just process that for a second. So in the People's Republic of Texas, Governor Abbott, if you watch him on television, is a strong proponent and advocate for investment in higher education like you wouldn't believe. And one of the areas that he invests in is medical education. And so if you go to a medical school, public or private in Texas, the medical school receives a $40,000 increment of financing per year for you to go to that medical school. We don't have anything like that. So we have to find a way to design, build, and fund this thing ourselves. Now I can tell you, that's not easy. So we're working on donors, partners, allies, other ways to make this happen, to make this work. Because it's not like somebody sits over there in the legislature of Arizona and says, you know what? I think we need to help ASU to build that cool medical school idea. No. There's people over there that want to vote us out of existence. Now, luckily, there aren't that many of those, but there are some. And what I mean is that we don't have that yet, and so we have to figure this out. So that's the answer to the ASU medical school and health question.
It's a fantastic answer. Thank you. Thank you for that. Poly Campus, President Kennedy, do you have a question for President Crow?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Can you guys hear us?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So with any enterprise, including ASU, budget typically aligns with strategy. And like you just said, on the positive side, we've had record enrollments. We've had probably some revenues associated with that. And also in this environment, Polytechnic Campus, West Campus, we've been tasked to grow or literally double by the year 2028. Yet at the same time, we've also taken a significant budget cut, which is kind of affecting us at multiple levels, both our abilities to recruit, it's affecting some of our student experience, and it's some of the challenges that we're facing. So kind of in a question on strategy is, are some of these funds being reallocated to other university level strategic initiatives? If so, what are some of these initiatives? Can we understand some of the budget adjustments and the strategy behind them? Thank you.
Well, so we can have a longer conversation, but the premise of your question isn't framed around the way that the budget model actually works. And so it's true that we have more revenue than ever. We also have more expenses than ever, particularly in financial aid expenses. But, and maybe Provost Gonzalez can comment on this, the only units that have less money are units that have not hit their enrollment targets. And so there are enrollment target outcomes. There are revenue and expense relationships within the way that the institution is designed. You want to, Nancy, comment on that? Now, while she's standing up, I mean, we do have to figure out how we're going to build for the growth, advance the growth. I'll give you an example of a strategic investment. So there's a major building that's being built right now on the Polytechnic campus called the building for ISTB 12, which is the home of the School for Manufacturing and Network Engineering. And that is a project that's centrally financed, as are all of the major capital projects within the institution. And so there are elements of the university's financial structure which are central. There's elements that are restricted, that is, you receive money from an agency to do a research project, and we don't control the allocation of those dollars. They're already controlled. And then there's dollars that are derivative of the behavioral outcomes of the schools while they're operating. So there's three simultaneous realms of financial structure going on. Provost Gonzalez.
Yeah, we run a kind of centralized budget with kind of clear plans for all of our units that they understand sort of how they can generate new revenue going forward. And the best way to generate new revenue is to continue to grow. The nice thing is that, you know, colleges and units are well aware of how those work, but it's kind of difficult to give a single answer to the question about budgets because every unit is different. And every unit has a different kind of combination of expenses that they need to cover. They're serving students in such different ways. Some colleges have heavy service loads where they're really kind of teaching students from across the entire university and less focus on majors, and other colleges or schools have a heavy focus on majors. So it's every dean sort of understands where the money's coming in, what they need to cover, and work closely with all their schools to try to make those adaptations going forward. So there's not a single answer to exactly how it all works.
Yeah, now we could get as deep into this as people, you know, would like. We have 230 departments or schools, 20 colleges, $5.6 billion, give or take, of revenue from about 20 various revenue sources, none of which are certain. We have no revenue sources that are certain, none. And so it is a complicated thing. So to your point in the part of your question about strategic initiatives, the building of a new engineering building is certainly a decision that's being made to advance the capacity of the institution to build this new department and make things happen, and that does cost money to be able to do that. But those facilities then ultimately become a part of the overall infrastructure supporting the rest of the institution. So we can have a longer and deeper conversation with Senate leadership about the budget models that we're operating under. The last point that Provost Gonzalez made is really important, and that is the mission of each school is not the same. They're related and similar and all from the same base, but the School of Molecular Sciences in the Science Division of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences on the Tempe campus is different than the Music, Theater, and Dance School in the Herberger Institute for Art and Design. They're just not the same, they're just not involved in the same types of activities. Related, but not the same.
Thank you. We're going to go over to our colleagues at West Valley now. President Burleson, do you have a question for President Crow?
Can you guys hear me? Good. Okay, so at the end of last spring, there was a lot of discussion about problems that occurred at the U of A and how that might and actually did impact ASU. Can you give us your take on that situation and where we stand with the state legislature?
Well, I mean, the state of Arizona, let me pick two other states. So in Florida, which has no income tax, Governor DeSantis has put together an unbelievably energized, unbelievably powerful investment for higher education. They're building new campuses. He's putting $800 million a year into new workforce development initiatives. He has secured $100 million a year to make available to hire Nobel laureates for the universities in Florida. They have financial aid for the students to go to the 12 or so universities, public universities in Florida. They have greatly expanded their investment. And in Texas, last year, they increased public expenditures from the legislature level to the public universities in Texas by over 40% from the previous year. So Governor DeSantis and Governor Abbott set aside what you see of them on television in the midst of the expression of what goes on, I'm just looking at their higher education policies and the higher education policies of the legislature. We don't have a higher education policy in Arizona. We don't have a higher education decision. There is no model for the funding of the universities. I can go chapter and verse of why we don't have a model. We had a model for a while that was based on performance. Arizona State University performed so well that the model was rejected after 1 year. I'm not kidding. Why are they getting so much? Well, they're doing all of the students, and they have, more of the students, not all, but more of the students and more of the research and more of this and more of that. So the way the model was set up, the state's investment would track on performance. Well, that didn't work. We used to have a model when I got here that was 2-2-1. No, there was a model that was called 22-1. So we would get money from the state for one faculty member for all additional students numbered at 22 units at a time. So that model was in place for decades and decades and decades and decades, and it was successfully funded over many, many decades 5 times. So that model didn't work. So then we had a model for a while that was built not on performance, but it was built on just growth. Well, that didn't work. And so we have not been able to get political consensus. We haven't been able to get higher education policy consensus around the model. I will tell you that for 9 years, I've made the following argument, unsuccessfully. We'll fund the university to the state. We'll take care of everything. We'll fund the entirety of the university. We would like you to fund half of the cost for an Arizona student to come to this university, about $8,500. No, because then more would come. And so it became a thing of, well, how would you constrain how many came? I'm like, well, wouldn't that be a nice problem to have, since we have the 46th lowest college going rate in the country? And then I said, if you funded that and then you gave us occasional capital investments for buildings, we'd be fine. We could make that work. Well, we're still making that case. And it will require substantial reconceptualization of higher education policy and higher education financing for that to work, because this is kind of funny, and I say this, let me calculate how I want to say this. Our success is also part of the issue. So we found the resources for the university to be successful. And so there is one relatively highly positioned legislator who has said to me, Michael, what we should really do is take away all your money from the state, and then you'll be wildly successful. And I say to this legislator, I said, that would work under one condition. You no longer cared about anybody from Arizona going to the university, and you no longer cared about what our price was. Both of those things we deeply care about. And so we're kind of in I don't know what to call it, we're in a policy like hallucination right now. And what I mean by hallucination, we don't really have a policy. We have an investment, but we don't really have a policy on which the investment is made. So we're hoping that can be repaired going forward. We're going to make our case vigorously. I will say to the question, our budget model is extremely complicated because we're self-financing financial aid. We could eliminate every financial uncertainty within this institution in one meeting by reducing by 50% the amount of investment that we make in financial aid. Believe me, there'd be no questions about this or that or anything. That would be hundreds of millions of dollars a year reinvested in the university that we're now investing in students so that they can attend the university. And so when you hear us talking about revenue, when you hear us talking about designing the institution, when you hear us talking about why we need this or why we need that, We generate the money from which we make our financial aid investments ourselves. Not all of them, but we are for actual cash, we're the largest investor in financial aid for the students that attend Arizona State University, more than the federal government, infinitely more than the state government, more than private philanthropies. We are. That all has to be taken out of the operating net margin of the institution. And so it's a very, very complicated thing, and we have, up to this point, refused to vary from our commitment to the access of our students, which makes our financial situation, as positive as it is, very hard and very complicated.
Thank you. Okay, we're running a little bit tight on time, but I think we can take one more question from Tempe. President Davies, do you have a question?
Yes, we've got a question. As ASU continues to grow and expand, what ongoing efforts are ensuring that a strong sense of belonging is created and maintained across such a large and diverse community?
Well, that's an outstanding question, and it's one that I worry about also. And my answer to that is the following, and this is, we've drifted from where we need to be, and we haven't really figured this out. So we have 230 academic units, give or take. And each of those academic units has a faculty and a leadership model and a way that they're working. And I think to some extent, this ability for the faculty in particular and the staff in particular to focus on students isn't where it should be, because everybody sees the institution as huge when really it isn't huge. It's an amalgamation of 230 academic units. Each of those 230 academic units have the resources necessary to have personal relationships with as many students as seem to want personal relationships. And we need to do more of that. So how many of you have been to welcoming events within your unit, your department, for first-year students? Okay, good. Graduate students in the same department, welcoming events. Welcoming back events for students that returned. A few of you, yeah. And so some units do this, some units don't do this. And what I think in this is this notion of belonging. It turns out, believe it or not, you know, big athletic events are a part of belonging. Getting students to understand that 24 present and past ASU students competed in the Olympics, and we brought home 9 Olympic medals, and we did this and this and this. And I don't know if you watched the football team, but the football team comes on the field and runs down to the student section and draws their energy from the 13,000 students that are sitting in the south end zone. I kid you not. This is a connection. It's a connection point. And, you know, many of you in the audience might think, well, football, like, who cares? Are you kidding me? These are all parts of this process. And the thing that we need to do, and I mentioned this earlier today, is, and I do this on every occasion that I possibly can, and I can tell you that it is meaningful beyond belief. A part of belonging is someone caring about you and reaching out to you. If you see a person crying or upset or emotionally stressed, or if you have students in your classes that are struggling with any kinds of things, don't teach them a lesson by telling them the penalty for what it means to miss your class or whatever. But reach out, whether they're in your class or not. So I will tell you that of the dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of students that I have interacted with where they're having some kind of stressful moment in the years that I've been here, many, 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 almost every case was actually serious. You see a young woman crying on a bench, just sitting on just sitting there. You know, I sit down and say, "Can I help you? How are you doing? What do you need?" Almost always, not always, but almost always, the person will say, "I just need some help." And then what I do is, I may not know how to help the person, but I know how to get the person some help. And this is true over emotional stresses, academic stresses, personal stresses, financial stresses. If you have a student that you encounter, like if a student writes to me, which they do, and they say, my parents are dead, you know, I don't even have any more money, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. We take those cases one at a time. We run them to ground. Is what they say true? if what they say is true, then we go immediately into action to help them to be able to be maintained here. And that's what we would do for any of you. And so as you encounter students, and so part of the belonging is to engage in the actuality of what it means in 2024 and 2025 to be an 18-year-old in the world that you're presently living in, where the older people are telling you the planet's about to catch on fire, the Russians are going to nuke Europe, the war in Israel is going to be killing tens of thousands of people, and it goes on and on and on and on, and you're like 18 years old, you don't, and so how do you help people? You basically help them. You help connect to them. So that's not my only answer, but given where we are on time, that's the best first answer that I can give you. So thank you, Paulina. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, President Crow, of course. This is the official conclusion of our academic assembly, and from here on out, we will transition to our President's Professor induction ceremony, and I'm pleased to introduce Provost Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, everybody. And President Quam, I will say that my idea of fun is celebrating the excellence of our faculty. So I am fulfilling the assignment that I was given at the beginning of the meeting, and so happy to do so. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this afternoon's event in recognition of ASU's distinguished President's Professors. Today, we will be celebrating 3 faculty members who have been officially recognized as President's Professors for the class of 2024. The presentation will be followed by brief remarks from President Crow. The designation as a President's Professor is one of Arizona State University's most prestigious faculty honors. It is designed to reward enthusiasm and innovation in teaching, the ability to inspire original and creative work by students, mastery of subject matter, and scholarly contributions. Additionally, the professors we are honoring today have shown their commitment to the ASU Charter by excelling in their areas of expertise and teaching students in ways that matter and have lasting impact. One of them specializes, among other areas, on young adult literature and consequently important issues related to literacy. The other focuses on making biology education more inclusive and on the role of the instructor in creating learning experiences that lead to active learning. Through their work, all of them are exemplifying the ASU Charter tenets of measuring ourselves by whom we include and how they succeed. We are pleased to have this opportunity to formally present these distinguished faculty today. We will begin with Professor Pauline Chung. Pauline Chung is a faculty member in the Hugh Downs School of Human Communication. Her research focuses on the relation between new communications technologies and various cultural communities around the world, especially in Asia. She has received numerous awards in recognition of her teaching and mentoring, including a Master Teacher Award from the Western States Communication Association, the Outstanding Faculty Mentor Award from the Faculty Women's Association, and the Zebulon Pierce Distinguished Teaching Award. From 2016 to 2019, she was co-director of At Asia Mediated, a multidisciplinary effort to build curriculum around the effects of new media on Asian cultures, funded by the U.S. Department of Education. Her teaching enables students to engage critically and ethically with new communication technologies across cultural divides. Her work in teaching, research, and service consistently and effectively advances ASU's charter and global engagement. To provide another perspective on Pauline Chung's career and teaching, I direct your attention to this video.
Over the course of the last 15 years, Pauline has really distinguished herself as an exemplary teacher and scholar. Her efforts to mentor our undergraduate students are really incredible because she's often managed to do it at scale by creating these exciting multidisciplinary student research teams that focus on specific topics like media or religion or sustainable urban development. We're just lucky to have Pauline on our faculty.
Many people understand communication as a magic bullet, to send a message or to mass disseminate audio or text. My research examines these processes, but also looks at communication as a culture, where we use communication to construct our world and the ways in which we learn, lead, and develop a lifelong practice of ethics. In this way, my research informs the processes of principled innovation. And in recent years, my work has looked into examining the relationship between AI and embodiment, AI and governance, and the application of AI in building local and global religious leadership.
Professor Pauline Chung's teaching and research is on the cutting edge in terms of really engaging innovative technologies and being centrally concerned with digital literacy. She is interested in helping her students navigate a space that can be fraught with misinformation, a lot of temptations, and research that shows that if you spend too much time there, it might not be good for your health. And her research and her teaching has been focused on helping students navigate that.
I also constantly tell my students that I value them immensely, I value teaching, and I hope to encourage them to become lifelong learners to make a meaningful contribution to this world.
Pauline's a masterful teacher. She's received the Zebulon Pierce Distinguished Teaching Award, which is the highest honor for teaching that you can receive in the college. She's received the Outstanding Faculty Mentor Award from the Faculty Women's Association. She's received the Professor of Impact Award. She's received teaching awards from her own disciplinary organization. Frankly, the awards just keep piling up.
I'm constantly reflecting on how I can become a better teacher and connect with my students. In recent years, I've observed that many students are feeling disconnected and a bit lost. So I think the challenge now is, how do I inspire and motivate my students towards scholarly pursuits? And yes, I call them student scholars, and I expect them to live up to that challenge.
Pauline is an equal opportunity teacher where she is interested in not only serving communication students, but the economic students, the business students, the engineering students that come into her courses. And because of that, she has been able to create connections both in her research and teaching across the university that really serve us.
I'm thankful that I get to teach at ASU to enlighten and ennoble, and to move us constructively and collectively towards our charter goals, which is to develop research and discovery of public value and to promote the holistic health of our communities.
Colleagues and distinguished guests, please welcome Professor Pauline Chung.
You can get the point. So we're going to give this to her first so that she can give her talk with this medal. So Pauline, on behalf of the faculty of the university, on behalf of the Arizona Board of Regents, it really is a tremendous honor to designate you as our highest Master Teacher Award, which is called President's Professor. So I give you this award, and then Provost Gonzalez has your plaque over there. So we can probably put it back over there. So before Pauline comes up to say a few things, I just want to put into perspective something that is really hard for lots of faculty to understand, and that is the breadth of the need of the research university to take on so many subjects. There's very few things more important in our very complicated 8 billion person global set of societies right now than figuring out how we're going to communicate better, how we're going to communicate with devices now that speak with human voice and human tone, that figure out how we're going to communicate across barriers that will be shrinking. You can now get these machines to speak in other languages. I saw some AI thing of me. It was really weird. I didn't say any of the things, but it was talking and my head was moving and so forth. And so only someone that knew me would know that it really wasn't me. And so the university has, we say in the charter that we're a comprehensive, all subjects, all things. Public, that's who we serve. Research, that's our method of moving forward. University, that's our organizational methodology. And within that kind of institution, we need teachers, scholars of the highest order working in some of the most complicated things that some traditional scientists would say, well, what are they doing over there? Oh, I don't know, they're only figuring out how we're going to communicate across one of the most complicated things that our species has ever encountered, which is billions and billions and billions of people empowered with devices that enhance and change the way that we communicate. So, Pauline.
President Crow, Provost Gonzalez, distinguished ASU leadership and faculty, thank you for bestowing me this honor. I'm humbled and encouraged by the award. My teaching journey began younger with toddlers in Sunday school classes at church. While I enjoyed helping them cut out stars and glue letters together, I quickly learned that I thrived better in a world of sharing bigger ideas. Today, I have the privilege of working on teaching, research, and discovery at ASU. My interests are in the social and cultural implications of technologies, including digital media, social robotics, and artificial intelligence. In the Hugh Downs School of Human Communication, I study how human and mediated communication help construct knowledge, community, and leadership practices. My current projects explore how local governments adopt virtual platforms to better serve their communities, and how nonprofits and religious leaders worldwide are managing tensions while innovating with AI applications. As such, I teach about youth-inspired research, global engagement, and principled innovation to help prepare our next generation of leaders to integrate a more humane approach to emerging automation. Given the growing intensity and uptake of communication technologies in our daily lives, as President Crow has said, I get excited about how students can develop critical thinking skills and the know-how to connect more meaningfully to their machines and to each other for the common good. In this enterprise, I would like to acknowledge my intellectual home at the Hugh Downs School with inspiring co-workers and fellow educators. Thank you. Last and most important, I would like to thank God for my loving family, Simon, Trin, and Noel, who share grace and teach me invaluable lessons every day. Thank you.
Congratulations, President's Professor Pauline Chung. Our next distinguished faculty member is Professor Pamela Marshall. Dr. Pamela Marshall is a professor of eukaryotic genetics in U College's School of Mathematical and Natural Sciences. Her work bringing STEM education and university access to refugee families in the Phoenix metro area awarded her the ASU President's Award for Social Embeddedness in 2022. She was also an ASU Provost Teaching Fellow in 2015. She is an innovator in course and curriculum design, and her scholarship is outstanding. To provide another perspective on Professor Marshall's career and teaching, I direct your attention to this video.
Dr. Marshall is one of our most incredibly enthusiastic and talented teachers, both within the classroom and outside of the classroom. To be in her classroom, students are incredibly engaged. They are excited by the content she's teaching, everything from pharmacology to toxicology to environmental science. She teaches those topics with incredible relevance, bringing often her own research, knowledge, and expertise into the classroom.
I do research with undergraduates in my laboratory, and what we're really interested in is basic cellular functions and how cells respond to and compensate for if they're treated with molecules or elements or atoms that might be toxic.
Dr. Marshall is effusively energetic, and she loves the teaching of science, and she wants to impart that love of science to her students. She serves as a role model for many students, particularly students that are traditionally not well represented in STEM fields. That includes underrepresented minority groups and women in particular in STEM fields.
So I really, really love teaching. What I really love about teaching is when I'm able to interact with the students and they have that aha moment where they're like, oh, now I get it, or oh, now I understand what's going on. And bringing the students into what's really my joy of science and how much I really love science and biology and genetics is my favorite.
Dr. Marshall is an asset to ASU and to ASU students in a number of ways. She is an active researcher, and she utilizes her or welcomes partnerships with her undergraduate students to conduct research in her lab. She's written a whole slew of articles in and with her own students, and therefore when they leave the program, they actually have published articles in high-tier scholarly journals.
She understands, she gets, she embraces, she embodies the ASU Charter in ways in which we all aspire to. Our charter of measuring our success not by whom we exclude, but by whom we include and how they succeed. Those words, I think, are written on her heart.
What gets me excited is when I get to work one-on-one with undergraduate students in the lab and in the classroom, and I really get to engage with them and get to talk to them about who they are and where they're going and what they might need and what they might want to be able to get there. My real impact is showing students how exciting science is and how fun science is, and then having them go out and show the excitement of science and the fun of science, and it really just is a snowball or a domino effect. And the number of students that I've been able to work with, I've been able to learn from, and I've been able to grow with over the years has been the most wonderful part of my career at Arizona State University.
So, Pamela, it really is an honor on behalf of the university, on behalf of the Arizona Board of Regents, to designate you as President's Professor. It is the case that our President's Professors, there aren't very many, but they have been intimately involved once they get this award in doing things that they never achieved in the past. That is, they take on whole new projects. They lead the institution in new ways, and so that's what I'm really looking forward to. Because we call on our President's Professors because they are these mensches, these master teachers. You know how to get people to understand things, and so it really is an honor to recognize you as President's Professor. And let me just say that, and the people from the West Valley campus and from the new college will understand what I mean when I say this, and that is that the university when I got here was a series of separate institutions, separately accredited. There were no Regents professors on any of the campuses but the Tempe campus. The President's Professors were held in strict concentration, and now we are recognizing our master teachers everywhere in all of their programs and activities. And New College, for us, is a tremendous effort to have an integrated approach to the teaching of all the things in the liberal arts and the sciences in a less traditional way. So your embracing of all of that and helping that to make all that work is really important to the evolution of the university. So again, congratulations, and we welcome your comments.
President Crow, Provost Gonzalez, faculty, and esteemed guests, I stand here today filled with gratitude. I have the best job in the world. It is my esteemed honor to be able to work with people just starting out in their path and be a part of their journey to help fulfill their dreams. I thank all of my students who have allowed me to be a part of their adventure. I get to research fundamental truths about the natural world, and in doing so, this removes my wonder every day. And I thank each and every person who has helped me along the way to allow me to have such a fulfilling and wonderful quest. As my father quotes from The Alchemist, a novel by Paulo Coelho, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And the universe has, by allowing me to be a part of such a magical journey of understanding and self-discovery of so many Sun Devils. In addition to the students, I am so thankful to all my colleagues who have allowed me to collaborate with them and be a part of the excitement of fulfilling the charter of ASU. From being a part of the Bridges program when I arrived, to being included in the MARC program later on, mentoring students, to the Train SM Scholarship Program, NSF funded, to the West Valley Campus Trio, to Eugene Judson's Scaffold and Passcard Saturdays with refugee families, and also to Peter Jarutka and Carl Wagner and our work on Rexinoids, and all of my friends and colleagues who are here, thank you. The universe has conspired to allow me to engage with the ASU Charter and fulfill ASU's mission of inclusive excellence and research of public value while having the time of my life. Thank you to everyone who has been a part of this journey, and especially to my family here today for supporting me in everything I do.
Congratulations, President's Professor Pamela Marshall. Our final distinguished faculty member today is Professor Teresa Wu. Teresa Wu is Professor of Industrial Engineering in the School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence in the Fulton Schools of Engineering. She is the founding director of the ASU Mayo Center for Innovative Imaging, which promotes educational opportunities for students as well as promoting advanced research in the field. She has taught industrial engineering classes at every level, from foundational courses for undergraduates to PhD level graduate seminars. Her mentorship also spans all levels, from high school students to Barrett Honors students and PhD candidates. She has done impressive work in curriculum and program development, including work on a shared biomedical engineering program in partnership with ASU and China Northeastern University. And she is currently involved in the development of the new School of Medicine and Advanced Engineering in the Fulton Schools. Her work in both AI and medical imaging is also at the center of new curriculum development in the College of Health Solutions. To provide another perspective on Professor Wu's career and teaching, I direct you again to this video.
So one of the distinguishing features of Teresa's teaching is her passion and the degree to which students really genuinely understand. She cares not just about how much they learn, but how they're doing, how they're progressing. You know, really understanding that part of growing as a young engineer, as an aspiring industrial engineer, but also doing that in ways that really help them become a better person.
Well, in a simple words, my research is really looking to real-world applications in the medical field. For example, I use a lot of medical imaging, like a brain scan for disease diagnosis. I also look into the biosensor data for the early detections.
So Teresa has been a great teacher at ASU. Early in her career, she helped build out programs for the industrial engineering online. She's always thinking about ways to integrate the things she's doing in research to help tell novel stories to undergrads about what being an industrial engineer can do in the real world. This provides real-world context for a lot of students to be able to relate to, as opposed to just thinking about these abstract mathematical concepts, being able to ground them into something that's real for everyone.
Teaching is fun, especially when you're in the classroom, you're interacting with students, those young, talented, and energetic students. At ASU and engineering school, our students have very diverse backgrounds. So it's always good to get them engaged, to learn the real world problem, challenge them for the engineering solutions. And that is the fun part.
So Teresa is a tremendous asset to ASU, to our students. And again, it's the ways in which teaching and research feed off one another. Teaching begets research, research begets teaching, and you're led to a president's professor.
I inspire my students by presenting the real world challenging problem. Make it as open-ended. Let them to work together. So that will make them really think out of the box for solution, and that is challenging, and that's the way they can master the subjects well.
Teresa brings a lot of joy to the classroom, especially bringing in her deep knowledge of the medical field, imaging, artificial intelligence, data management, and bringing those to the students to give a domain flavor of things really is a great asset in helping enhance learning and teaching.
I'm passionate about my research because it's going to have the impact for everyone's daily life. Regarding research, we really encourage students to do the system thinking, and I do see the future engineers. They're going to be working with people from different backgrounds and have that trained in the classroom on campus. That's important for the future impact.
So Teresa, on behalf of the university and on behalf of the Arizona Board of Regents, it really is an honor to recognize something that you've been doing for a long time, which is performing at an unbelievably high level within the institution. Teresa, I've actually worked with, and she's a fearless arguer, I'm just telling you. Yes, which I admire very much. So she has brought her skills at persuasion at all levels of the institution. So Teresa, it is an honor to recognize you as President's Professor. So in Teresa's school, inside the Fulton Schools, plural of engineering, that's not a typo on the side of the building, it's the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. We have more undergraduate students than Stanford University has undergraduate students. Just want to process this for a second. We have about 11,000 students total, more. How many this year? 12,000. How many undergrads? 9. Yeah, 9,000 undergrads. Well, Stanford's undergraduate student body is about 7,000. And so people don't have any idea of what it means to be a master teacher, president's professor at ASU. This ain't grandma's university. This ain't grandpa's university. This is an institution trying to figure out how to do things at different scales, in different ways. Not every school or department is this size, but the faculty in computer science and augmented in intelligence, they figured out how to advance to high quality outcomes, large numbers of students, while also doing research of meaning and impact and advancing in artificial intelligence. And Teresa is a person that's contributing on all of those fronts and is a voice within the university on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and I appreciate that also. I get lots of voices out there, but I particularly appreciate voices that are constructive. You know, like, here's an idea, what about this, what about this, what about this? And so, Teresa, I appreciate that very much, so welcome. Thank you. Congratulations.
What about this? What about that? Before I start, I'm truly thankful. I think 2 keywords I learned by now. One is from
President Michael, that is adaptive. The second keyword I learned is from my colleague, Pauline, that is AI. And I want to say it's not just artificial intelligence. My school's name is augmented intelligence. Again, thank you so much for this incredible honor. I am truly deeply grateful and humbled to join this distinguished class of 2024. I joined ASU, start my journey as assistant professor of industrial engineer in 2001. So in that case, I am indeed 1 ASU year older than our President Crow. So the ASU I joined 23 years ago is so much different. That come to the first keyword about adaptive. When I joined ASU 2001, we had roughly a little bit more than 50,000 students, and now we are more than 3 times bigger. So this growth is not just about the number. Indeed, it also comes with ASU opportunity ASU offers. So we believe now we as witnessing ASU is transforming to a truly interdisciplinary research and education hub. That's one word I think Dr. Michael Crow mentioned today, ASU as the hub. So for me, on the education front, I am industrial engineer by training. I'm proud to be an IE. So the core of IE is system thinking. So we're really looking to leverage the tools, using scientific principles, mathematical principles, and engineering principles to make the system better. So that makes us proud. The system could be health system, energy system, and beyond. To me, one of the most joyful moments is to see my students apply the IE principles, solve the problem, see the impact. And that's, again, like my colleague, aha, that moment is most joyful thing. On the research front, the cornerstone is collaboration. I have the privilege to collaborate with researchers from different fields. And one example is the outcome is the ASU Mayo Center for Innovative Imaging that shows together we can accomplish big. So again, I'm truly honored to be here. And I want to take this opportunity to thank my colleague, so many to thank too. So like Salchek, Russ, Andrea as part of the STAR team in 2022, and many, many others. I want to say thank you to, because you are the one I'm going to learn from, I'm going to continue to learn from. I also want to thank my family, my husband, my son. Without your support, I would not be standing here today. I want to thank to the support we got from school, Sky, that got you School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence, Pauline, not the AI you talk about. And thanks to the support from our FSE, School of ASU, ASU as a whole. Special thanks go to Michael, Nancy, Evaluation Committee, all my nominators. I want to acknowledge my Dean, Kyle. He trusted me and encouraged me to take on this new role as Associate Dean for Global Engagement. A lot of challenges ahead. Kyle assured me it's going to be a fun journey, and I trusted him. So I strongly believe the best is yet to come. As ASU, we can dream big and action together. Thank you.
So I hope that each of you got a sense of the breadth of the institution, the nature of our master teachers, what it means to be a president's professor, the kinds of people that we have here, the way that they're thinking, the things that they're thinking about, the scale of the issues that they're working on. And so I'd like our new president's professors to stand so we might recognize all of them together again. Congratulations. thank you to all of you for being here. These are some of the funnest things that Nancy and I do because we recognize the highest achieving faculty members. Now, each of you probably already know this because the way we surprised you. You're each getting a small addendum to your salary of $10,000 a year as a permanent base to your salary, and you're getting $10,000 a year for whatever you want. And it's not a huge amount of money, but it means you could go on this trip, or you could do this, or you could do that, and you go out and learn some new things and so forth. So you're getting all those things also. So congratulations, and thank you to all of you for being here.